Hello everyone, my name is Emma Fortunato, and today we'll be examining the impact of Title IX on higher education. Let's get started. Let's start by learning more about Title IX. It was passed in 1972 by former President Richard Nixon as part of the Education Amendments, and the law stated that there was no discrimination on the basis of sex in college and universities across the United States, and there was a three-pronged test created to ensure that schools were being compliant with the law. Schools need to prove that they are involving women in government-funded programs and activities proportional to their overall enrollment, they are showing significant expansion in areas where women are expressing interest, or that the current programs and activities are fulfilling the needs of women on their campuses already. And this is because historically, women were considered as an underserved population in the world of higher education, so former President Nixon passed Title IX to ensure that they were given all the opportunities they needed for any government-funded program within colleges and universities, including academic and extracurriculars. There were also consequences for colleges and universities who were not compliant with Title IX. It resulted in the loss of federal aid for those programs since they were not doing their best to include everyone in the opportunities that they were supposed to be giving everyone. Although Title IX was passed mainly for educational purposes for women to enroll in the science programs such as biology and engineering, there was also a major impact on collegiate athletics, as many women's teams now needed to be created to counterbalance any men's teams that already existed at colleges and universities. Title IX also worked in employment as well in colleges and universities, and schools needed to ensure that they were giving women equal opportunity when they were applying to the same position as men were. In this case, they also needed to ensure that women felt safe and that they weren't being harassed and that not in a hostile work environment. The people who were impacted the most by Title IX were female students, female employees, and female athletic teams and athletes who now were given opportunities that they hadn't had before. They could enroll in their programs of their choice, they could apply and have an equal chance at the positions of their choice, and they could finally play on collegiate teams that weren't there before. Some clubs and organizations were also affected by Title IX because they now needed to include women for equal and fair representation within their clubs and organizations, and also create any new ones where women had expressed interest but had not been created due to unequal opportunities in the past. Colleges and universities were surprisingly slow to begin to enforce Title IX, and this was partially due to the fact that more people and more money were needed to create this inclusion for women that had not been there in the past. New club advisors, coaches, and professors all needed to be hired or extended past their current obligations to ensure that all clubs had advisors, all the new women's teams had coaches, and that all the new sections that had to be created to increase enrollment, because women were now allowed to enroll in any program they wanted, were met. And this means they need to hire new people or pay extra for current employees to cover the gaps. Of course, this money to pay these people couldn't come out of thin air, so they had to find the money and reallocate the funds from where they currently were to meet these needs, and some felt that it was at the expense to them, such as men's team, that may not have lost up to half of their money. Improvements can definitely be made to Title IX moving forward. One of the areas that it can be improved is actually the wording of the law. It is a little too narrow, and it only protects for discrimination against sex and not gender, which leaves out the entire transgender population from being allowed to use this law in lawsuits. Since sex is defined by your biology and gender is defined by how you feel on the inside, a lot of court cases throw out gender-based discrimination lawsuits because it does not fit with Title IX, since sex is only referring to the biological aspect and not any mental aspects of a person. Therefore, an addendum can be made to Title IX to include gender as well as sex, so that everyone could use this when they feel that they are being discriminated against or that there are laws violating their opportunities at a college or university based on who they are. Another is to reward schools who are compliant with the law, as opposed to taking away federal aid from colleges who are not compliant with Title IX. Thank you so much for joining me today as we learned a little bit more about the impact of Title IX in the world of higher education. Enjoy the rest of your day.
created using Powtoon.